we're in one of the biggest shifts of astrology in 2023, and it comes during Pisces season 2023, part of these big shifts. We get Saturn moving into Pisces. We're going to get Venus in Aries and then in Taurus. And so I'm going to break it all down. We're going to dive into these major turns of reality over the coming solar month. Stay tuned. So welcome to my channel. My name is S.J. Anderson. I break down the ongoing astrology here. So the first point of Pisces season, the major theme, is that Venus will enter Aries. Venus is leaving Pisces and moving into Aries. That starts on 20 February. Right after that new moon in Pisces, Venus shifts into Aries. It will be there until 16 March. And remember, what is Venus? Venus is the planet of fun, hope, and pleasure. It's the planet of love and touch and the luscious, creative, earthy energy and the connective energy that we can bring to our relationships and to our lives. And when it enters Aries, the big issue with Venus in Aries is that it has to filter through, as I like to talk about rulership. Planets filter through the energies of other planets, but when Venus is in Aries, it's filtering through Mars. It's filtering through an energy that's not quite a match for its nature. Mars is the breakaway fiery energy, right? It's the do-it-myselfism. I'm going to initiate, act, and go out and run into reality and make stuff happen. Not as compatible with Venus's softer, pleasurable, unifying forces. You know, Venus wants to sit and pay attention to the beauty, eat the strawberry, and just taste the strawberry. Mars is just going to inhale that strawberry and get on to the next thing that it wants to do. And so these are the tensions of Venus and Aries season, and these arrive again 20 February here, where we have to maybe have too much passion or too much go-go-goism, and there's not enough of stopping to smell the flowers. You know, and it's good. It can be this kind of dazzling, passionate enjoyment of fleeting pleasures. I mean, this is very much a Venus and Aries style where, you know, you fall in love fast, you enjoy the passion intensely, and then maybe you're ready to try to build foundations later. Might be a philosophy of Venus and Aries. Less soft and gentle and more impulsive and direct. And so it's a lot of energy and excitement and passion, maybe too much sometimes for comfort. There's this film Moulin Rouge, directed by Baz Luhrmann. I think this really embodies this Venus and Aries style. It's about a love affair with a woman working at a brothel, and there's this really hot love that has a lot of risks. In spite of the risks, they move forward with that love. Even the style of Luhrmann's direction with a lot of garish colors and kind of bold and loud energies is very much a Venus in Aries in terms of how we might approach creativity. Sort of flashy and just bold might be a key word. It's like rushing into pleasure no matter the cost, no matter the risks. These are perfect Venus and Aries themes, and you might consider how this may be manifesting or pinging a sector of your chart here in Pisces season. A couple of transits I want to touch on while Venus is in Aries. You're going to have the conjunction with Venus and Jupiter that happens once every year. The luckiest day of the year, according to some astrologers. That's going to arrive on 2nd March. You might say this is peak of that Venus in Aries just because it adds the expansive ambition of Jupiter to the boldness and the kind of instantaneous pleasure seeking of Venus and Aries. So you might feel even more emboldened here on 2nd March, or as we get into this perfection on 2nd March. Then the other transit here is on 11 March. Venus perfects a sextile to Mars in Gemini, the ruling planet, the domicile lord of Aries. And so you have this lovely reception, all of Venus's transit here in Aries, and it's with Jupiter the whole time that Venus transits through Aries. Great mitigating features. I think with this year's version of Venus in Aries, it's much more boldness that can have success, but it's that perfect blend of exciting, pleasures. With Jupiter stabilizing and reception from Mars stabilizing. Mars is in Gemini. There's a mental side to the stabilization that you may also consider, thinking things through a little bit. If there's too much excitement, maybe you think it through or write down things in the moment to sort of clarify the mental states and stabilize that Venus as it's, triggered in a sort of a robust, passionate moment here. Overall, I think there might be a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. I mean, we don't get out of Venus being in Aries and the nature of the tension and the kind of ups and downs that can bring, even with these mitigating configurations. Bursts of inspiration, rush of excitement, thirst for adventure. Passion can be centered, and then we can operate from a place of passionate activity. Venus in Aries allows us to do that. So the story of the year so far in 2023 has been Saturn's finishing movement here in Aquarius, the sign that it rules. Remember, Saturn is the great father time, some say. It moves very consistently every roughly 3 years through a sign, a little under 3 years. And it can time great upheavals. And the example that we've seen with that in our recent moment was that March 2020 is when Saturn moved into Aquarius, and the globe turned on its head and the whole world changed, timed exactly to that Saturn ingress. That's how important Saturn ingresses can be. I know I've been saying this over and over again in almost every recent video, appreciating and enjoying and looking back on and taking stock and inventory over Saturn's time in Aquarius, because it's going to be not in Aquarius here very soon, and then we'll have to not enjoy these energies. I think about Saturn laying foundations in whatever sign it's in, such that when it leaves that sign, there's no opportunity to do the Saturnine foundation laying. That will be over. What is Aquarius? Intelligence, innovation that can last. It's new orders, new rule sets, new structures that get implemented. And then Saturn is also that. So we've all been doing it. How have you adapted to the changes in the world? In your chart, you have an Aquarius sector. There's a specific story to that part of your chart that you've been living with and living through. But this transit on 2nd March, there's a meeting of Mercury and Saturn. It's a unique opportunity to continue the story of reflecting on Aquarius and this Saturn cycle, because Mercury is the communicator of the gods. It's the planet where we can maybe think about and talk about with clarity. And then when it blends with Saturn, it allows us to talk about Saturn's time in Aquarius and all of those changes that have come to our lives. Also, Mercury and Saturn are the two major rulers of Aquarius. Mercury by night triplicity rulership. There's no other rulers. It's Saturn and Mercury. And so these two rulers meet here on 2nd March. You might continue this processing of Saturn and Aquarius as it's about to finish out. Again, I think about it, it's like deep structures of Saturn, intelligence and innovation in Mercury. And it's a day-sec sign, so we're out in the outer world of ideas and of new legal structures and new rules and all of those things. Idea bricks, so-called. We've laid idea bricks with mortar, and we've got hopefully a new, brick road, you might say, or a new brick structure that has been put in place. So this might even be like a final celebration, Mercury and Saturn coming together and saying, hey, look what we've done. You're, air trigon team, look what we've done together, as an acknowledgement and an appreciation of what has happened and appreciating the good. You've made it through Saturn and Aquarius, and that's alone worth celebrating. Celebrate the endurance and the powers of endurance that Saturn has brought into your reality frame. Really, we're moving on to the next adventure, because Saturn very quickly brings focus to the Pisces sector of our charts, and Saturn has to confront then these kind of destructive Piscean seas, its own form of destabilization. It's not here yet. And so this is really the week or two before 7 March when Saturn enters Pisces to just chill and rest and appreciate and celebrate. What happens is that 2nd March, Mercury will move into Pisces. It gets out ahead of Saturn. And then 5 days later on 7 March, Saturn enters Pisces. And I think the example here is The Truman Show. There's a couple of movies I want to reference in this video, but The Truman Show is all about a structure of reality that's set up for Truman. Sort of appreciate the genius of the Ed Harris character, that there is this kind of, he would be Father Saturn, and there's this creation of a whole reality. It entertains people. The Truman Show, it's its own achievement. I think when Saturn enters Pisces, it starts becoming like Truman's Awakening. And we get this transition from the structure of Aquarius to the almost destructive quality of Pisces, the creative, artistic awakening that can come with those Piscean waters. It's kind of like the plot of The Truman Show. You start with Saturn in Aquarius, you end with Saturn in Pisces. And that final scene when he's on the boat out towards the edge of reality, it's very Piscean, isn't it? And so, of course, that's what's up next here in this Pisces season overview. Remember, when we say a Pisces season, we're referring to the sun's movement through Pisces, 30 degrees. The sun is the clock. It happens every 30 days-ish. The sun will change to a new zodiac sign. It's the great timing piece. And so I'm just overviewing here some major themes for you and some major transits at a higher level. And this is the big one. This is the big kahuna, which is that Saturn does change signs. It's very rare to happen. It does not happen, but for every 3 years, we get to explore Saturn in new signs. And it's a major shift. It's a major tonal shift, energetic shift. Everything about the reality could shift very quickly here. Sometimes ingresses are very loud. They happen, and the whole reality turns on its head and you get a whole new playlist, effectively, a whole new set of colors in your environment. Saturn is that powerful. Remember, it's the foundational structures of reality. And so I can't, undersell this. And this is major, which is why I led with it in that introduction. The thing about this month is that we get two syzygies, a new moon in Pisces on 20 February and then a full moon in Virgo on 7 March. That full moon in Virgo perfects, and then within the hour, Saturn enters Pisces. And so it's another example of why this moment is so important. The mutable axis will never have a syzygy, a new moon, a full moon, without Saturn angular, that is to say, Saturn activating by a pressurized relationship. So our mutable sector in everybody's nativity and in the outer reality has a confrontation with Saturn. These two syzygies, this solar month, is the last moment where it's not that. And so it's just another example of how whole areas of our chart now will be forced into confrontation with Saturn. I appreciate that. I have made a video on the Pisces new moon. You can see it here. I'm releasing them together. That will break down a lot more about the Pisces new moon moment. Saturn is structures and foundation, but it's also hard truth. It's having to face reality, face the music. I love that for Pisces, because Pisces is a musical sign and Saturn is, facing something. So we're having to face the music with Saturn and Pisces in many ways. But the good news is, Pisces is a warm sign, with a celebratory sign, a sign that at times is even nonsensical. And so there becomes this great washing of the seriousness of Saturn through a more whimsical, imaginative energy. We can kind of release into the dreams as a way to transition here. Pisces is a mutable sign, a sign of transition. And so our foundational planet is getting washed through a transitional period. And Saturn won't leave Pisces until 2026 February, finally. I think the next 3 years are going to be quite transitional and creative because of that. I'm going to have 2 videos coming out soon about Saturn and Pisces. One of the major themes that I want to explore is the innovation in the creative realm that Saturn allows for and supports when it moves through Pisces, releasing into your dreams. The other side of it that people are talking about is it could be a reality check. Saturn in Pisces allows us to have some kind of groundedness with the Piscean themes. So it could go that way, where instead of Saturn loosening up and having a more buoyant, creative energy for that serious planet, we might bring some seriousness into things like deception or delusion or illusion. Some people are positing that fakes or phonies will be exposed with Saturn and Pisces, and I can certainly see that. I just like to think about it more as grounding us. And so if we're too out there, we get grounded. It's really a connection between the dream realms and the imagination. It actually will connect and provide an egress and a connective exchange between those two realities, which is why it has produced in the past so much creative innovation. And it comes after powerful Saturn for 5.5 years. December 2017, Saturn entered Capricorn, and it finally leaves Aquarius in March 2023, right here where we are. And that alone to me is a significant release into kind of a dreamy state that we can kind of look back and say, yeah, reality got tough there, didn't it? Especially in 2020, 2021, 2022. This does to me feel like a softening, given the flow of the zodiac. Pisces is that final sign that allows for a dissipative dreamlike release into the collective power of the unity of all being, right? That core spiritual concept. Pisces is the symbol of Christ in Christianity, which is the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and that kind of all human beings can be forgiven. There's a very symbolic collective role of Pisces and a very emotive side to it. So I think we can kind of forgive. I look to forgive people, as we come out of this difficult early part of the decade. Look around and maybe forgiving people that thought different than you or had different approaches to the crisis or the crises we've been going through. The one thing I wanted to bring is this song Purple Rain by Prince. I love that song. God, I want to put it on. I want to sing it. I'm not going to, but there's no such thing as purple rain. And so it's an imagination piece where it's the grief might be rain, right? And it's purple. You can start seeing colors and let your reality become looser in terms of what you think it is. This can be a surreal transit with Saturn and Pisces. The foundations get trippy. Saturn is grief. Purple rain's about love and loss. I only wanted to see you bathing in the purple rain. There's a sense of longing for some kind of transcendent experience, something beyond what we see and know that we can desire and search for and sing about. Pisces is ruled by the planet of music, Venus, by exaltation. And what does he have? The line in that song, something about the times are changing, that reference to that old Dylan track. It's again the foundational planet of Saturn and the mutable sign Pisces. We're shifting and changing here in this solar month. So get ready. Get ready. That purple rain, that's water, that's Pisces. The final theme of this month is Venus's ingress into Taurus. The final theme I want to explore will tie directly to that ingress, because Venus in Taurus in 2023 is the first time Venus has been in Taurus, its Earth home, without Saturn squaring from Aquarius, with that overcoming position. Venus in Taurus in 2023 is freed to be more Venus in Taurus-like than it's been able to do for quite a while. Saturn always brings reality checks, and that's not always fun, okay? Venus in Taurus without a reality check that's forced upon it means that we can have a more pure expression of that Venus in Taurus. Now, I know the North Node is still there, so it's still an eclipsy strangeness. Maybe 2024's transit will be even purer because you will not have that North Node. However, I think this is some kind of major upgrade for our benefit. And Venus will be in Taurus 16 March until 11 April. It's there this whole time, the second half of March, and then that build up to the eclipse season. Remember, the first eclipse in 2023 is on 20 April. And so we get this whole period before the eclipses with this pure Venus and Taurus energy, as pure as it's been in quite some time. First time since 2020 with Venus without that overcoming square from Saturn. And so what is Venus and Taurus? It's creative. We certainly get the creativity of Venus. That is retained here, but it's the earthly expression, the creativity of nature, the creativity of flowers, the creativity of the sensual component to nature, walking with your shoes off on a beach, for example, or putting your feet in water, or just touching the earth. I think about laying in the parks where I am. There's these lovely parks. It's quite sunny here often. Just go lay in a park and feel the grass. This is the pleasurable side of Venus and Earth and those combinations. It's stability, it's comfort. I mean, the ground is stable. You can rest in the grass and it's great support. The moon rules Taurus by exaltation. That's the planet of comfort and safety. So there's this supportive safety and comfort component to Taurus that allows us, when that's present, to sing and create and feel safe enough to enjoy pleasure. I mean, pleasure can't be fully enjoyed if there's crisis around, because there's no space for it. You've got to constantly be thinking, where am I going to go next? True pleasure, I think, requires the safe container of a fixed sign and that deep stability that can contain it. The comfort of the physical home, having a tub to get into, or having, just whatever you like to do in your home to feel safe and comfortable, getting under a blanket, resting, being sated with food. Food is very much a part of Taurus. And food is a very creative act. Cooking can be very, very creative. It allows us to actualize our godlike powers of mixing and remixing and making something that then can be enjoyed. Love making, music and melody, all of those things are very much a Venus and Taurus style activity. Basking in the sensual, fulfilling experiences of the sensual. And the one film I wanted to mention here is this movie Amélie. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a French film. Let me get this guy's name right. Jean-Pierre Jeunet. I think something like this is the director. Watch that film. It's very much about love. It celebrates love and the romance and the romantic side of life. But food is such a component in this movie. There's scene after scene where food is used to express love. The way it's shot, there's all kinds of creative close-ups of food and the beauty of the texture of food. There's also many scenes of her in the park. She's walking in the park a lot. And it's very Venus and Taurus. So maybe put that on and check it out to inspire you. After March 16th and until April 11th, Venus is there in Taurus. So it's a romantic love story, right? A happy ending, happy Venusian love story for our Venus and Taurus moment. The other one is Eat, Pray, Love. I wanted to throw this in here. There's a component of Taurus that is about spirituality. In ancient texts, there's discussion of Venus being the robes that you can wear at the temple, the adornment that happens to pray and to meet God. We cleanse our bodies, we maybe put on these temple robes and meet God. In the Tarot system, you have the Hierophant as the corresponding card to Taurus. And so that's a connection to, again, these higher level religious authorities. Often a church or a religious structure has a lot of Venus because you would want to cleanse and wash and celebrate beauty and have the kind of best that's possible of things, the most refined objects to meet the divine. And so that Eat, Pray, Love book, I just love that title. Eating is the Taurus, and then the pray, loving is Venus and Taurus. Eating is Venus and Taurus, but the pray part of it is a relevant feature here. You know, I love these notions of like going into pleasure in order to find God. There's some spiritual traditions that play with that, right? They're like, we're going to celebrate life and not have any sort of asceticism. We're going to celebrate life to its fullest, to reflect and be with these divine energies. So you may do some of that, you know, eat some cheesecake for God. So, right, that is Pisces season 2023. Have a wonderful shift of Saturn into Pisces and enjoy this Venusian component here as Venus takes center stage with 2 sign changes. Take care, good luck. If you want to see more videos from me about astrology, just click here. And you can always check out my website, sjanderson144.com, to see my reading schedule and to schedule astrology readings with me. Take care. Great to see you. Great to be here. Talk soon.